some commie's wig, uncovering something big. Like Big Mike, a honeypot, no better operation cross-dresser. Like Big Mike, they went off the books, now their balls are cooked. Like Big Mike, 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 Mike. Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Everything will be okay. Guess what day? What day? It's hump day. Get it on.
Research that we've done with the help of some very wise and very brilliant minds that have been pointing us in the right direction. I'm massive fans. So many of the people in this space. Matt Taibbi is one of them, and he has a Substack here. His outlet's called Racket News, and he has a remarkable article that was published on July 19th. And this is sort of just a massive breakdown of the aftermath of what Tulsi Gabbard originally released. And Tulsi Gabbard has released brand new material today. We're going to get to that in just a second. But to understand the importance of that material, you have to do a little bit of homework. And we're going to do that homework right now. And I'm going to show you right off the top of the show the bombshell, evidentiary, demonstrable conclusion that not only was the Russia hoax created entirely by Barack Obama, but it was created with one sole purpose, which was an insurrection. The true insurrection happened on January 6th of 2017. The dates are very important. Let's rewind the clock back to December 9th, shall we, of 2016. And this is a critical date. I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step of how Barack Obama committed treason. And it's very important to put it in those terms because never in American history has an outgoing president launched an internal attack using the full weight and might of the organs of the United States Defense Department and intelligence agencies. This was a military attack on President Trump from the get. It cannot be understated or overstated how severe this all is. Let's read. On December 7th, 2016, Pearl Harbor Day, I guess you could say. If you want to talk about a major attack on America, here's another Pearl Harbor Day where a major attack on America occurred. James Clapper, he was the director of national intelligence at the time. He was preparing the text for the president's daily brief. This is called Activity on and Since Election Day. Get a load of the text. Please read. This is the declassified text of the president's daily brief that was already ready to go and was ready to be sent in to Barack Obama and to someone else. Wait till he get a load of this. We assessed that foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure and that the U.S. presidential election outcome this year, we have no evidence that cyber manipulation of election infrastructure intended to alter the results. And that last part is very important because motive is a valuable thing in the intelligence community. What is the motive exactly? Is the motive here to help Trump? Is it to hurt Trump? Is it to help Hillary? Is it to hurt Hillary? Is it just to be a menace? Which is really what Russia has done in all of our elections. It would just be a menace. If you go back, ALX, I love that old meme. Do we have that meme? The one of Jesus arm wrestling Satan? These were the stuff that Russia was creating in 2016 is hysterical. What was actually published and ascribed, and we don't really actually know, but to Russian state operators in 2016 is comically hysterical in its goofiness, and it's just Dennis the Menace level effery. That's all it was. Okay, it was just nonsense. That's what Russia was doing. Okay, and they've done that in every election, and they're just poke. In fact, most intelligence reports and many credible reports show that Russia actually didn't want Trump to win the election, that Russia wanted Hillary Clinton to win the election. They thought Trump was a loose cannon. They might actually lose big with Trump, that Hillary Clinton would be a much better, more diplomatic, and an easy to calculate leader in her actions and what she was going to do. She would just be a continuation of policies that have been quite good for Russia. Remember, this is when Russia had gone in and took over Ukraine the first time. They went and took over Crimea. Here, it's a good example. Here you go. Here's an example of Russia hacking the election. Satan, if I win, Clinton wins. Jesus, not if I can help it. Press to help Jesus. Okay. I mean, I click like on that. Don't get me wrong. Okay, whatever you think of this, this didn't win the election for Donald Trump, and this is not hacking the election. Okay, back to the article. All right, so they had it right, and they have declassified the president's daily brief. This is so unbelievably critical. The declassified president's daily brief says Russia didn't do anything. Nobody hacked the election, and the election results are true and honorable and righteous and legal, and nobody interfered. And nobody interfered in the election. That was what they drafted. That was true. Okay, that's a matter of fact. Here's why this is important and why this was pulled. This was pulled, and we got this from a very high source inside of the Trump administration. This was pulled because Donald Trump received this president's daily brief. Do you understand? A president-elect is entitled to the president's daily brief of the incoming president and the outgoing president. Once a president is elected, then they get the same briefing as Barack Obama. Donald Trump was going to get this briefing. General Flynn had already been read in on this briefing. This was going to be the paramount cornerstone document that proved that the bubbling up Russia collusion hoax was dead on arrival. And they were about to hand it to Donald Trump with the print and stamp of approval of the entire intelligence community, 17 agencies, FBI, CIA included, NSA, and so on. This was going to exonerate Trump forever, and it would be dead after this. This was the end of Russia collusion hoax. Whatever nascent variation of the Russia collusion hoax was happening at this time, which was virtually nothing. Nobody was really talking about Russia collusion at all. At all. Everybody had the Steele dossier. People had the Steele dossier in their newsrooms. It had been laundered to the FBI. It had been laundered to the CIA. It had been laundered to all newsrooms. The Hillary Clinton paid for Russian disinformation. But nobody published it because it couldn't be verified. You'd get your ass sued, like it's happening right now. You couldn't publish this. Even back then, it was seen so insane. Trump working with Russia to help him win the election was seen as so absurdist that no right person, not even people at like BuzzFeed, Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, they all had the Steele dossier. None of them published it, and none of them went with Russia helped Trump. We know this because we have the original source documents. You can go back into the pages of the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post and CNN, and you can find the documents. You can see what was being broadcast on TV, and our show and our producers have watched hundreds of hours of this, scraped all of the available media, gone through all of the front pages, and there was nothing on this date, December 7th, 2016. Nothing about Russia helping Trump. Nah. Zip. Zero. And Trump was about to get the final word right here from this president's daily brief. Trump was about to get, not Obama. Trump was about to get it. Okay? Obama gets it as well. They both get briefed. Here we go. So the total exoneration was about to hit Trump's desk. And then what happens next? By the next day, December 8th, officials had text prepared that read, Russian and criminal actors did not impact recent U.S. election results by conducting malicious cyber activities against election infrastructure. President Trump and General Flynn are like singing at this point. Trump can sense a hoax being mounted against him. They're singing, they're whistling Dixie. This is exactly the truth, and it's December 8th. This wording was scheduled to enter the president's daily brief. Not a public report, but a confidential briefing that Obama gets. And this, I believe this fails to mention that Donald Trump gets it as well, which is critical. Critical that President Trump is entitled to this report as well. The wording was scheduled to enter the daily brief, but then mysteriously and suddenly, like absolute neck-snapping whiplash, the FBI dissented. Comey's FBI withdrew on the afternoon of the 8th. This was all scheduled to go and be briefed to the president first thing, crack of dawn in the morning on December 9th. And in the afternoon, the FBI at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:48 p.m., the FBI will be drafting a dissent. What? Please remove our seal and annotations of co-authorship, the FBI says under James Comey. About an hour later, an official from Clapper's office axed the president's daily brief for the time being. Based on new guidance, we are going to push back the publication of the president's daily brief, the official wrote. It will not run tomorrow and will likely not run until next week. Things started happening, very strange things. At that point, a meeting of Obama's National Security Principles Committee was held. The list of attendees included all-star collection of MSNBC green room visitors like John Kerry, Victoria Nuland, John Brennan, Avril Haines, Ben Rhodes, Andrew McCabe. All names that you know. You can see the documentation here. What happened at that meeting exactly? This is the group that the next day received a group email from Clapper's office headed POTUS Tasking on Russian Election Meddling, asking them to produce an assessment per the president's request. The target release date of January 9th, 2017. Let's read. The intelligence community is prepared to produce an assessment per the president's request that pulls together the information that we have on the tools Moscow used and the actions it took to influence the 2016 elections. An explanation of why Moscow directed these activities and how Moscow's approach has changed over time, going back to 2008 and 2012. In sum, just before Obama was set to receive a briefing that contained no reference to Russian interference, zero. This briefing, of course, put together by thousands of intel community members, pulling strings, pulling all of their sources, all of the available might of the intelligence community of America, foisted upon this single topic, and the conclusion was Russia did nothing in the dark of night. Actually, in the percolating dust light of the afternoon of December 8th. Comey's FBI goes, we're not doing it. For no reason. They have provided zero explanation. Then Clapper's office says, pull it entirely. Then they meet with Obama, and then suddenly there's this massive tune change that's like, no, we must find Russian election hacking. What's very strange about this, and really suspicious about it, is something that's embodied here in Matt's writing. He says that it's not apples to oranges. It's that there were no apples. That's apples to oranges, meaning you're, two things that are both fruit and you're, maybe it's just two different variations of fruit. No, it's that there's zero apples. There was nothing there. And now the order from Barack Obama is to create apples. Bring forth the orchard, says Barack Obama. The seditiousness and weaponization of our intel agencies and the full might of the American military apparatus against President Trump is unspeakable, but it gets worse. Because this is all relatively known. Tulsi Gabbard just released further information on this. We'll get to that in just a second. Here we go. It's suspicious that a president's daily brief was postponed to make way for an intelligence community assessment ordered at Obama's request. Fishier yet that the evidence that Putin intended to help Trump came from a classified annex containing the Steele dossier material. But the smoking gun is that these eventual conclusions leaked instantly. There you have it. It's called a spoiler alert. So you're ever watching a YouTuber or, reading an article about a movie you want to go see and somebody gives you up the plot. The main character dies, right? The dinosaur eats him. It's called the spoiler alert. It's when somebody spoils the end conclusion of the movie. You don't get a chance to see it play out. You don't get a chance to see the story develop. You don't get a chance to see the characters develop. The emotional connection is gone because in the end, that Braveheart dies or whatever, right? Whatever big spoiler alert, big heel turn or what have you. Shawshank Redemption, guy escapes. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert here is that the ultimate conclusion that Donald Trump begged for assistance from Vladimir Putin and that Vladimir Putin gave him that assistance and rigged the election in favor of Donald Trump, and that Hillary Clinton had her election stolen from her. That is not a conclusion that the intelligence community had at this point. In fact, they had the opposite conclusion. Yet, that is the exact conclusion that all of American corporate media snapped to in the instant that Barack Obama decided it. And that is something that we have proof of. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. From December 9th, 2016, look at this article from the New York Times. Look at it. Russian hackers acted to aid Trump in election. U.S. says. Look at that. You're on the wrong article. New York Times article, please. Russian hackers aid Trump in election, U.S. says. December 9th, 2016. Here we go. Wait a second. This is the front page of the New York Times. There was no intel community assessment that says this at the time. All of this reporting is based on confidential sources. This reporting does not tie back to any single intel agency. It doesn't tie back to anything that the IC, any conclusion that the IC had come to at this point. In fact, the intelligence community had come to the opposite assessment. Yet the moment that Barack Obama decided that this was the narrative, an article with his face on it and his pointing, almost ordering this article being written, gets published in the New York Times, front page. American intelligence agencies have concluded with high confidence that Russia acted covertly in the latter stages of the president's campaign to harm Hillary Clinton's chances and promote Donald Trump, according to senior administration officials. Look at it. Senior administration officials. The moment that Barack Obama decided that this was going to be the narrative, that this was going to be the hoax, the dates are there, right on the article. They launder it to the New York Times. The New York Times, this is, by the way, the same date that they had the meeting in the White House with all of the administration officials and all of the intelligence heads. And Barack Obama steered turned the ship 180 degrees and says, we're not going to go from no Russian interference. We're going to go to 100% Russian interference. No reporter had any time to actually hunt this down. Do you understand what's happening here? This is stenography on behalf of Barack Obama. No reporter had any time to actually do any diligence on this article. The intelligence community would be another month until they created an intelligence assessment that gave Obama what he wanted. In fact, what was happening behind the scenes here, according to Tulsi's new documents, was that multiple top-level CIA officials were being brought in to John Brennan's office and screaming at him that this is a lie. Multiple agents inside of the CIA, top officers, are saying, we have no proof that this is happening. We have zero evidence. that Russia manipulated the election. Nothing. That's what Tulsi has proven. So the New York Times is being a stenographer for Barack Obama personally, based on senior administration officials lying about the intelligence community. Look at this. American intelligence agencies have concluded with high confidence that Russia acted covertly in the later stages of the presidential campaign to harm Clinton and promote Trump. When the report said the exact opposite. Not just that. Look at this from the Washington Post. December 9th, 2016, the same day. Secret CIA assessment says Russia was trying to help Trump win the White House. Well, that's interesting because we now know that it was CIA operatives and agents who were the Russia chief intel officers and election security analysts saying the exact opposite of what the Washington Post is saying here. So where are they getting this information? They're being stenographers for Barack Obama. There's only one source of this, and it actually isn't the intel community. Yes, Brennan is guilty. Yes, Clapper's guilty. Yes, Comey is guilty. Yes, they were all doing what Barack Obama told them to do, and they were all willing co-conspirators in this, and they should all go to prison. But it was actually, according to the original documents, original source documents that we can now read, it was the intelligence assessment that there was no Russian collusion. There was no Russian hacking. There was no Russian manipulation at all. It's there in black and white. So where the hell is the Washington Post getting this information? The CIA has concluded a secret assessment. Notice that it's secret and it's unnamed administration officials. Administration officials. Who is that exactly? That Russia intervened to help Donald Trump win the presidency, rather than just to undermine confidence in the U.S. election system, according to officials briefed on the matter. Would you look at that? You know, it's the exact same article. It's the same article, same structure, same paragraphs. All of it is the exact same. It is the assessment of the intelligence community that Russia's goal here was to favor one candidate over the other to help Trump get elected. A senior U.S. official briefed on an intelligence presentation made to U.S. senators said, that's the consensus view. That didn't happen. It's a lie. You can prove that it's a lie because their own documentation, their own classified documentation, prove it's a lie. Yet this is published on the exact same day. This December 9th day is such a critical date. It's published the exact same day that Barack Obama orders the Russian hoax. They launched it into the media. And they didn't stop there. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen. They went hard. Check this out. This is we have nothing but love for this audience, but we really appreciate you giving us the support, the viewership, and the ability to do this deep level research. December 9th, CNN. 2016. Hard clips to find, actually, because they're 10-year-old clips. And we just didn't have the same technology back then tracking these things, but we were able to hunt them down. December 9th, CNN broadcast. Let's go ahead and listen to what they said. A reminder of what's going on in the background. Now that you know what's going on in the background, let's listen. How the hell did CNN get this information?
It was an unprecedented cyber attack ordered by senior Russian leadership on the U.S. election. Hacking the emails of Democratic officials, then released to the public virtually daily by WikiLeaks. Now President Obama is ordering the intelligence community to conduct a full review of Putin's meddling and all cyber attacks connected to U.S. elections going back to 2008.
This is a major priority for the President of the United States. He directed his intelligence community and national security officials to take this on. He expects that report to be issued to him before he leaves office.
The question is, how will his successor react?
Wouldn't it be nice if we actually did get along with Russia?
Trump repeatedly praised Russia during his campaign and denied that the Kremlin interfered in the election despite the public assessment of the U.S. intelligence community.
I mean, it could be Russia, but it could also be China. It could also be lots of other people. It also could be somebody sitting on their bed that weighs 400 pounds, okay?
And he's continued to express doubts even now that he has access to top U.S. intelligence as the president-elect. telling Time magazine this week, "I don't believe they interfered." That became a laughing point, not a talking point, a laughing point. Anytime I do something, they say, "Oh, Russia interfered."
We had a meeting.
Trump's skepticism of the intelligence community comes despite his own limited appetite for intelligence briefings. So far, Trump has only had 4 presidential daily briefings, on average 1 per week. Well, CNN has learned he has requested a more focused briefing on the threat from North Korea. Former CIA Director Leon Panetta telling CBS News that is not nearly often enough.
If you're President of the United States, you better be in touch on a daily basis with your intelligence briefers so that you have an understanding as to what's happening in the world, what are the crises you have to pay attention to, and what steps do you have to take in order to deal with those crises.
So they bring in the former director of the CIA under George W. Bush, the guy who manufactured the WMD hoax, Leon Panetta. They bring in Leon Panetta to connect the thread of President Trump and the President's Daily Brief. When they just pulled the President's Daily Brief that had true information in it, and we're about to insert a fake President's Daily Brief with manufactured Russia hoax information in it. This is how manipulative these bastards are. They bring in the WMD in Iraq guy in order to push the Russia hoax and in order to attack Trump. How do they know how many President's Daily Briefs Trump's getting? Do you understand what that clip unveils for all of us? They were dead set focused on Donald Trump and his reading of the President's Daily Brief. They knew that if they gave Donald Trump the information that there was never any Russian hack of the election, it'd be over. It's game over for them. That was December 9th, the same day of the New York Times article, the same day of the CNN article, the same day of the Washington Post article. That CNN report there showing clearly, how does CNN know how many President Daily Briefs Donald Trump's gotten exactly? They're giving up their sources here. It's the Obama administration and the dirty officials inside of it that were working to manufacture this hoax. And how would they have the narrative already preset? Spoiler alert. The spoiler alert is that they've all come to the conclusion that Russia then meddled to help Trump. The conclusion that Barack Obama ordered the intelligence community come to. We've done more, ladies and gentlemen. This is a wild interview with a Republican member of Congress from December 9th, same day. Listen to the certitude from Yahoo News here. And why is Yahoo News important? Why did we target Yahoo News? We target Yahoo News here because they were the first publication to publish the Steele dossier. So they're ground zero. Yahoo News is ground zero for the Russia collusion hoax. Yahoo News, of course, is absolutely crumbled into total absurdity and neglect, and nobody gives a damn about them anymore. But there was a time when Yahoo News was really big, and people used that search engine. And Yahoo News decided they were going to go full bore on the Russia collusion hoax, publish the Steele dossier, which they had just done, and then run this interview. Listen to this reporter in the way that she talks about Russian collusion. Listen to this.
How would Ronald Reagan feel about Russia directly having a role in our election system and compromising one of our two major parties, our party's emails?
Well, I think anybody who wants to interfere in other people's elections, which happen all over the world, not just Russia, and we interfere in other people's electoral system as well.
So that's fine for you? That's fair game because Donald Trump is not
hold
the
on,
lead.
wait a minute. I thought I was being interviewed here, and you're supposed to let your guest have a point of view. Yeah, the bottom line is that when Russia does exactly what's going on in other countries, people like yourself are villainizing and saying how horrible it is, but it basically is what's happening all over the world.
You know Vladimir Putin.
It basically happens in various countries.
You know Vladimir Putin personally. I don't. I'm just going by facts.
Talking about the facts. The certitude at which they jumped to this conclusion, this pre-baked conclusion, is the smoking gun. One more, ladies and gentlemen. NBC from December 15th. Remember, we're still a month out from the intelligence community assessing their new manipulation that Russia hacked the election to help Trump. A total and completely manufactured manipulation of the evidence at the protest of major members of the intelligence community. We're still a month out, and yet here's what's being run, almost like an absolute, it reads like a script straight from the Obama White House on NBC. Go.
Senior intelligence sources tell NBC News that what started as a feud with Hillary Clinton quickly became an effort to damage the political process in the United States. And at the center of it all, the Russian president himself. This morning, NBC News has learned from senior intelligence officials that Russian President Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the campaign to undermine the U.S. election. The officials tell us that new information derived from diplomatic sources and spies working for U.S. allies points directly to the Russian president, with one high-level official saying that Putin's role was to direct how the hacked material from Democrats was used. His objectives multifaceted. It began, one official says, as a vendetta against Hillary Clinton after the former Secretary of State criticized Russia's parliamentary elections back in 2011.
We do have serious concerns about the conduct of the election.
But trying to hurt Clinton's presidential chances soon morphed into an effort to show corruption in American politics, attempting to split off key American allies, hoping to prove the U.S. is not a credible global leader. This stunning revelation comes after the CIA's recent assessment that the Russian government wanted to elect Donald Trump, a view that the FBI and other intelligence agencies don't fully endorse. And neither does the president-elect.
There's great confusion. Nobody really knows.
Trump calling the CIA's assessment ridiculous.
They have no idea if it's Russia or China or somebody. It could be somebody sitting in a bed someplace.
This morning, the
moment Obama decided that this was the hoax, every corporate media outlet that was subservient to him began to immediately parrot and become stenographers, effectively, for the hoax. It happened instantly, on the day. And that's the smoking gun. That's how you can tell where this came from and how brain dead, smooth-brained SEALs our corporate press actually are, how complicit they are in these lies. The repetition of this instantly and unquestioningly without any journalism at all, because there was no way that there was enough time for them to pull these strings or find these reports. There was no time. They just wrote what they were given from Obama. It's the smoking gun. And here out this morning, ladies and gentlemen, Tulsi Gabbard with brand new evidence. The declassification of what was found truly by a full-scale investigation by House Intelligence Committee, Oversight Majority Staff Report, fully declassified, showing the truth, reinforced here, that it all came from Barack Obama, and it was knit together by whole cloth. Let's just pull one little section out of this report. This is a Sean Davis post, please. Now we know why corrupt Obama and Biden administrations worked so hard to hide the comprehensive review of the 2006 intelligence community assessment that became the foundation of the Russian collusion hoax. Here's what they were able to find. Here's what they were able to find that ties Donald Trump to Russian collusion. One scant, unclear, and unverifiable fragment of a sentence from one of the substantiates reports constitutes the only classified information cited to suggest Putin aspired to help Trump win. A CIA official said that fragment had 5 people read it 5 different ways. It gets worse. The intelligence community assessment ignored or selectively quoted reliable intelligence reports that challenged and in some cases undermined the judgment that Putin sought to elect Trump. They shut down dissent. They pushed forward with their false narrative. And they silenced whistleblowers. One scant, unclear, and unverifiable fragment. And what was that fragment? The Steele dossier. That fragment was Russian disinformation paid for by Hillary Clinton. That is why you can call this a coup. That is why you can call it a seditious conspiracy. Because the subsource, the direct subsource for all of this information is foreign intelligence gathered and paid for by Donald Trump's political opponent, Hillary Clinton. And that's treason. This is Hillary Clinton working with a foreign government in order to insurrect against the will of the American people. That's treason. And the Steele dossier was all they had in order to tie it. Totally discredited. Not a scintilla of truth in the entire document. Hidden inside of a classified annex for the intelligence community assessment. This is all they had.